You're listening to Paranormal Concept, right here on Parasearch UK Radio, with your host, Paul Rook.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm your host, Paul Rook, and on tonight's show, we've got a really good one for you tonight. As always, I'm joined by Kerry Greenaway. Hello, Kerry.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. And I'm also joined, or we are also joined tonight, by Miki York. Hello, Miki.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yep. How are you? How's things been for you?
Very good. Busy at work, but, you know, you got to pay the bills, haven't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what life's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And people say we enter the paranormal for fame and fortune. Somebody please show me where the fortune is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hidden under my bed, and I'm not telling anyone where I live.
It's okay, everybody. I've got his address.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
dear.
Okay, well, I'm going to move it now. Under my bed. Right, okay, so, Miki, let's start by finding out how you got into the paranormal. What's that?
Basically, you speak to a lot of people, and they have these stories where they were young and they saw their granddad or their nan. I did have none of those stories at all. It was basically watching a certain paranormal TV show back in 2002.
Most haunted by most chance?
I don't like to name names, but yes. And obviously, it was like, wow, this is the first sort of thing I'd ever seen on TV, like, that would involve ghosts, really. And I used to watch it every week with my mum and dad.
Yep.
And I was fascinated by it. And I'm like, wow, you know, look what happened, Mum. And I used to all sit there on Tuesday nights or whenever it was on Living TV.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I remember before Most Haunted, there was a TV show called Ghost Watch.
Oh, yeah, with
that was
Sarah
the
Green.
the one. That was the very first one I ever watched. And
Yeah,
that sort of.
I watched that as well, and I was really scared when they heard the pipes were rattling. I was only about 7 or 8 at that point. And I'm like,
Oh, so was I,
yeah.
That did scare the pants off me quite.
It did. I don't think I slept.
When you look at it now, though, when you look back and you look at it now, you think, oh, God, you know, it was so gullible. But that's what TV was like back in those days, wasn't it?
It was, definitely. And obviously no one has really seen anything apart from the films.
Yeah.
So some people did believe it, and I was one of them.
Same here. No, I think I was too.
Yeah.
How far we've come since then, eh, Miki?
Oh, no.
Okay, so I obviously after you watched the TV shows, did you get into a team, or did you sort of do investigations and stuff on your own?
Yeah, well, I had a friend from another friend, basically, and he was starting up a ghost hunting team in Northampton, where I live, and he asked if I wanted to come along. And basically, we formed a team. I think there was 10 of us in the end, and that was called Northampton Spirit Seekers. We used to go out on like investigations, and we had all like K2s, and we thought we were cool and things like that. But in the end, it was obviously there's 10 people. It's a lot to organise to actually go out on investigations and get everybody there.
Yeah.
So in the end, it was just myself and Alex. We would just go out, and in the end, we left there and formed UK Haunted. I think it was about 6 years ago now, and we haven't looked back since, really.
Awesome.
What was the first investigation you did under UK Haunted?
Officially, it was Boughton Cemetery, which is quite close to where we live. That was like our official, like, this is UK Haunted. But we did actually go to Godstone Nunnery in Wolvercote, I think it is, near Oxford. That was where we went first, but we were still with the other team then, but it was just us two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we thought, we could do this. And then we just come up with some logos and names, and we left basically, and the rest is history.
So you've gone from quite and I don't mean disrespectful at all, quite a naive perspective, but you've come
very much so.
You've come such a long way in such a relatively short time compared to some people in the field. What's the biggest thing you've learned in this time?
I think not to be fooled. There's a lot of fakery around, and people think that any slight sound, any noise, anything they see, it's a ghost. But 99% of the time, it's not. There's a rational and natural reason for whatever you've captured. And see, that's the thing. People just want fame, I think, nowadays. Oh, look at this ghost I've seen. And they contact all the papers and the press, and they get their stories out there. And so everyone knows what the real activity is, and they just look stupid. And I think it's basically you got to be humble, really, and just actually think about what evidence you have and why you've captured it. But
I totally agree with you there. You was actually part of the Celebrity Haunted Hotel, wasn't you? That was last year.
Yes, yeah.
Now, that's a well-known, documented situation that happened on that. Did that upset you?
The stone throwing, the coin throwing, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very much so, because obviously me and Alex were nervous enough being on live TV in front of the whole of England watching, really. And we obviously last on our vigil, that night's show. And we, obviously, the activity started as soon as we walked in. And we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And looking back now, we looked a bit, well, not silly, I suppose, because we didn't know. Like, people think, that's faking first night, credibility's gone. But we didn't know absolutely nothing about what Justin was going to do. So, we were very disappointed. As soon as we come out, we asked to find out what was going on, really, and if anyone else on the team and the production that knew about it, but they didn't. So, and obviously we didn't see the reason why he was pulled out by Matt, but obviously the guys watching on the TV, obviously they explained it that they took him out because he was throwing things.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
It definitely, I wouldn't say put a dampener on it, but it made us more determined to prove and show that we're not faking anything. If anything happens, then it's happened, and we're not controlling that.
So actually, from a negative situation, you actually turned it into quite a positive situation for yourself.
Oh yeah, I think that's the best way you can deal with it. You can just sit there and just think, this is like rubbish, but you just need to get over it and get on with your job that you were there for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Did you like the TV experience?
I did, actually. I loved it. Because obviously we were there for over a week, and we had 4 days before the first night's show. And we had runners who were getting us things and getting us food. And, do you want a coffee? While we were going around the site and doing run-throughs of night one and that. And it was really good. I could get used to it.
was that something that you had to apply for, or was it just something that come to you? The job.
No, what it was, we were in talks with Pick TV a long time ago, and someone from Pick TV that we were talking to moved over to UK TV.
Yeah.
So then we had a contact there through him, and we were pitching a show for UK Haunted, and we were having a couple of meetings, and then they called us down to London one day, and we thought it was about our own show.
Yeah.
And they said, I've got this idea for Halloween. It's about a haunted hotel, and basically they told us the show idea, and asked us how could they make it possible. So obviously we gave them ideas. We had a couple of meetings with them, and then it just happened from there, really.
Cool.
So it wasn't like we were casted, but we were very much involved from the outgo, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How much control did you have over the people that joined you on that situation?
The other 4 experts, you mean? We had no control for that. We didn't, because we had a couple of screen tests, and the first one, we thought it was just us, to be fair. And then we found out that we might be on one night of the show, of the 5 nights, And then the next week, we found out that there was other guys joining us, and then we were going to be on every night, and we were going to be like a team. And that was probably a couple of months before the show actually aired that we found that out. So I think they were just going through different ideas at like production office, what they could do and how it could work. So, but yeah, we had no control over any casting or anything like that.
Do you think the production team wanted to rig things up?
From all the meetings and being on set, no.
Okay.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Okay, so going forward from that, because to say that's been well documented, and I'm sure you're probably quite sick to death of talking about that one. When you're in the field, you're quite techie.
Yeah.
What's your favourite piece of tech?
That would have to be a spirit box.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had the Paranormal Puck recently.
Oh, I have, yes. Yeah, I'm just getting used to playing with that now.
What? I don't know what a Paranormal Puck is. It sounds exciting. And I know that you didn't get the right casing that you ordered. When you ordered it. Bless you.
Doing your homework, yeah.
Oh, I had a little bit. You know. So what do you make of the Paranormal Puck? Could you explain a little bit what it is for a start?
Well, basically, it actually does look like a hockey puck.
It does.
And it does, yeah. This is version 2. I believe that was the first version. But what this one does, it measures humidity, barometric pressure, atmospheric changes, temperature, things like that. And it's but you can also ask it questions. Like it's a bit like the Ovilus, but apparently there's no programmed words into the actual device itself. I don't know if you guys have seen Billy using it on Ghost Adventures. He uses it quite often.
No, I haven't, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine, yeah. Well, we had a UK Haunted event a couple of weeks ago, and one of my friends had the Paranormal Puck too, and I had a go of it, and we had some activity on the spirit box, and the sound was going strange. It's going really loud and really quiet, and my friend asked, like on the device, you just type in the question, and it's supposed to give you a response on the screen because it's connected to an app, digital dowsing app for the Paranormal Puck. And he said, "Oh, are you messing about with the sound?" And it come through adjust. So he asked the same question again: "Are you affecting the sound?" And he said, "Gently." And then same question again, and it come through quiet. And it's like, wow, that's like telling me 3 times. Basically, it's turning the sound down. And that just like blew me away. I'm like, wow, that's quite cool. So but I was thinking of getting one last year, but I just didn't. But actually having a go with it myself, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And it's just another piece of tech that, you know, I don't really know that many people that have one. So I thought I'd have a go at it.
Yeah, I've not come across that in the field so far. Not that I've been out that much this year, but it is a piece of kit that I've not actually come across to actually see in the flesh, as it were. Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite good. So
do you think apps in general, like phone apps or anything app-based, what's your opinion on that? Because it's quite diversive, this one.
I think ghost hunting apps are a load of rubbish, to be honest, personally. Like, oh, there's a ghost in my nan's house. No, there's not. It's just the phone. How can the phone? It's not built for like the sensors and that. If you buy a piece of tech for ghost hunting, it's going to have the correct sensors in whatever it's designed for. But the phone doesn't have that. It's just an app that you download, and it hasn't got the sensors put on there. I don't personally think, anyway.
Yeah, so it's not calibrated to the correct sensor.
No, and the correct atmosphere that it should be used for.
Yeah,
but obviously, I do believe that if you can have, like the Puck, if you have the actual equipment that's designed for that, and you just have the app to display whatever results the device is getting, then I believe obviously using that one. So, yeah.
See, I don't know too much about that device. I'd have to look into it a lot further before actually using it. The issue that I have with devices that have multi-functions on them is if one piece of equipment fails on that device, does it screw up the whole lot, or does it just, I don't know, stop working for the thermometer part of it as opposed to everything else? That's my issue. So I need to understand how a piece of equipment works before using it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's very true. Every piece of paranormal equipment, if you don't know how to use it, I don't think you should be using it, because you don't know what false readings you're getting or why you're getting them.
Exactly.
So unless you know your equipment and you spend time researching it and finding out what it does and why it does it and what happens when it goes wrong, I don't think you should really be using it as evidence, because you just look silly.
Well, that's it. I mean, I've always, got individual pieces of equipment as opposed to all in one for that very reason.
Exactly.
So you come up with an investigation and you've got like hundreds of bits of equipment all around just to measure different things. There's no room in the room for anything else.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Well, this is true. You could end up with too much. You did Salsea Forest recently, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
And
great place.
You got lost.
I know. Yeah.
Didn't take a compass with you in all that box of kit that you were carrying around.
Oh, my friend Ben had a compass on his watch. So.
Oh, okay. I'll let you off then.
I actually have a compass in with my kit.
Oh, do you?
Because if a spirit can affect the magnetic fields, a compass is ideal, isn't it, really?
Yeah, because it will see it moving.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Old-fashioned bit of kit there.
Some of them are the best.
Exactly.
Some of them are the best. Yeah. So what did you make of Salsea? Because you were hearing voices, weren't you? Could you pin that down to a logical explanation, or did you get a bit scared?
Yeah, I think that was at the beginning as we were walking in there. We were obviously walking through the woods and forests trying to find a location to stop and see what we could get. And I kept hearing voices, whether it was outside and it was just travelling through the woods. I just couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. But at one point we thought there was loads of kids in there messing about and screaming, but we didn't see anybody.
Oh, we had that. Sorry to interrupt. We actually had that at Pluckley though, and we ended up finding a group of teenagers that were like trying to freak us out.
Oh, did you? Well, at least you found your cause.
At least we found them. Yes.
Yeah. Do you prefer doing outdoor investigations as opposed to indoor ones?
I think if I'm looking for good activity and good credible results, then inside definitely. But I think the outside ones are a bit more exciting. So yeah, definitely. I think indoor. It depends what mood I'm in, really.
I think with outdoor ones you can get more noise pollution.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's an issue. So audio is probably gone straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes it a bit more difficult to investigate outside. That's why I prefer the inside ones.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a forest. I love a wood in the middle of the night.
Oh, I know you do.
It makes me a bit weird, I know, but I actually love an outdoor location.
I used to like outdoor ones, but then someone made me traipse around for 7 hours around.
I don't know what he's talking about, Mickey. I really don't know who he's talking about.
Of course not.
No.
I nearly killed him.
Oh dear.
I was thinking I'm going to have to carry him back. No, I do like outdoors, but I do agree it's very, very difficult in regards to capturing anything, because externally it's a nightmare, isn't it?
Well, I suppose it depends where it is, and also what sort of traffic is around there. If there's no traffic or kids and the wind is okay, then I suppose it's a bit easier. Like a few castles I've been to in Wales, some of them were amazing, and they were obviously in the middle of nowhere, so you didn't get traffic noise, like people noise, but obviously it was just the wind. So if you're in a sheltered spot, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of questions in the chat room for you. First of all,
Okay.
Kaz says, what is your favourite place to investigate?
My favourite place has to be St Crispin's Mental Asylum, which is in Northampton.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen 2 full-bodied apparitions there. I felt violently sick there. We hear voices. Some of the wards don't have ceilings, but you can hear footsteps and people running above you. It's just absolutely crazy place.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's in Northampton. But funnily enough, that shut in 1995, and I wasn't into ghost hunting or urban exploring or anything like that back in the day. And the day they closed was the day they basically walked out and left everything as it was. So all the beds, the wards, the documents, showers, the lot. And then I didn't really know about Crispin's until possibly 2008. So by that point, first time we went there, it was just trashed.
Yeah.
And it slowly got worse over the years. Obviously getting pipes and copper and any sort of materials someone can get from there. I don't know how they get them out, mine, because there's like a 50-foot fence around it, but But yeah, it's just a shame. But the building and the wards and that structure are still there, and they are really, really active.
Cool.
So yeah, but obviously I've been to East Drive and the Ram and other big famous places, but Crispin's is number 1 for me.
Yeah, you mentioned East Drive. What's your opinion?
Yeah.
Is it just a hyped up location, or did you think it was active?
Well, me and Alex spent 13 hours there, and we did get some great audio, answers to control questions on the spirit box. We even had an accent of a girl who was telling us "M's in bathroom," and that's obviously like supposed to be a Yorkshire accent from up north, where it is. But apparently there is a spirit of a little girl called Emily or Emma there, and we actually captured that. So that was pretty cool. But I think East Drive is just audio, nothing else. I don't think there's poltergeist in there. I personally think that Carol next door just hypes it up when she does her walk round, just to keep the place going, because it's sold out 365 days a year.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
It's
it's
investigated so much, isn't it?
Yeah, for a couple of years now, it's been like that. It's like these ghosts are going to get annoyed. They're just not going to come out. And why people still go back there every day, like 4 or 5 times a year, I just don't know. But that's up to them, I suppose.
Yeah,
but I don't. But, yeah, exactly. But I don't think it's that active.
No, I think that it gets hyped up so much that it just appears on everyone's number 1 wish list of places to go.
Yeah.
That's why so many people book it up so much. But even when I went there, we was there from, I think it was about 2:00 in the afternoon, right around to 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we picked up something strange on the stairway, on stairs at the top.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, we got nothing whatsoever. And this case was supposed to be. The case initially happened in 1966, I think, something that far back, and nothing ever since. So, I think whatever is there now is possibly either too knackered to want to do anything, or is actually, when people go, I think sometimes they bring the energy with them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that, I think that's why there are people that go there and they get activity, and others don't.
Well, they say that people are more haunted than locations.
Yeah.
So, it's probably just family members or people that are following you.
Indeed.
I would say.
Okay, so we've had another question from Dave Harasny. I'm sorry if I've said your name wrong, Dave. He says, it's Dave from Entering the Unknown Paranormal.
Hello.
He says...
I know Dave, yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the use of plasma balls? Do you think that spirits can use the energy from them to communicate?
Funny you say that. I bought a plasma ball 3 days ago.
Ah.
So that's a good question, because we had one a few years ago. I think Alex has got it. And we did find out that if you put an ovulus next to it, ovulus 3, on phonetic mode, so there's no words, dictionary coming out, it would just spout off word after word. Obviously, that affects the ovulus. So if you ever see that as a plasma ball next to it, it's in phonetic mode, it's not paranormal. But Yeah, it does kick off an awful lot of EM. So I think I've bought this one. They're not £5, and it's better than EM pump because you can pay like £40 for some of them. Yeah. Plus they're noisy, but they don't give off as much EMF as the plasma ball. So definitely that's why I purchased it this week, just to have around when I'm investigating, just to give spirit some energy.
Yeah. So when I first started doing investigations as a public event, rather than buying the EM pump, I discovered that these plasma balls does the same job. So I thought, you know what, I actually want to buy the plasma ball. So I do. We have plasma balls on our investigations now, because not only does it do the job of an EM pump, but it also looks good. Yeah, and it's something visual for the guests that go to see. So I mean, if there is any spirit energy around and they can interact, then why can't they interact with that plasma ball? Because again, it's energy inside the ball, so it should be able to interact. We've never had anything, interact with the ball, but again, we've had things come over the voice box. We get feelings of being touched and stuff like that. More so when the ball's active. So I think spirits do tend to use the energy. So I think a plasma ball is a cheaper option to the EM pump.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I recommend that to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen the plasma ball being used in a séance situation, in a closed séance, and there were some very interesting, what's the word I want to use? Say anomalies, but that's the only word I could use. I wouldn't say it was paranormal because I think it needs a lot more research into it. But what was occurring was very, very interesting in that environment.
Was it inside the ball or around the ball?
Both.
Okay.
It was both, and you say that was incredibly. The only word I can say is interesting, but I don't know enough about plasma balls to comment why the effect was happening, what was happening. But it was incredibly interesting watching it. It's a team that, when I say team, it's not a paranormal investigation team. It's a séance team that works spiritually.
Okay.
On a regular basis, and they were having really, really interesting results from that. But as I say, all I can say is it was interesting. I'd not seen a plasma ball react in that way before, but I don't know enough about a plasma ball to make a intelligent or proper judgment on it, if that makes sense. So, but I did see some interesting occurrences, shall we say? It made me go, I want to look into plasma balls more often. I need to look into plasma balls more to find out what that possibly could have been. If there's a logical explanation, there may not be.
Well, you could try and recreate that situation and see if it happened again.
Exactly. It's something that's probably going to occur. But Dave has just said one thing we have debunked with the plasma ball is that it interferes with the K2 devices and handheld REM.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It will do because it's electrical energy.
Yeah.
So it's gonna interfere with the K2 device, and that's what the EM pump does as well. It fills the room with electric magnetic fields.
Yeah.
So it will interfere with K2 devices.
Yeah.
Just like the handheld radios do. That they all have an effect on the K2. The K2 is just like a pretty bit of plastic that, like traffic lights.
Yeah, people like a traffic light effect, surely. And so the situation I was in, we had no other tech at all going, just the plasma ball, but we were working spiritually, so it was a different environment completely.
So how did you see the lights then that weren't in the ball? I mean, like you said, you saw them outside of the ball. Yeah,
they were coming outside of the ball, and
was that from a camera or you were looking through the camera?
No, I was seeing it visually, but somebody else was filming it. So I actually saw this visually, but somebody else filmed this. And then what happens, like when you put your hand close to and then on the ball, the light things hit your fingertips.
Yeah, changes colour,
and it hits your fingertips. But the whole hand was changing and showing a X-ray effect. And that was about, I would say, not as far as a metre, but it was quite far away from but a lot further than you would expect, if you know what I mean. It was really, really interesting. And the streams of light, you know where it like flickers off at like lightning, you can't judge where it's going to go. And then when you put your hand on it, it attracts to your hands. That focused on one point.
Oh, wow.
And I've not seen that before. But as I say, I don't know enough about plasma balls to comment whether that was a normal thing. And, you know, we did make sure the person who was doing this had no watches on or phone near him, or, you know, all of those were removed from the environment because obviously someone said, well, you had a watch on, or you had a ring on, or you had, you know, that's what was attracting it. But so that environment was shut down in that regard. But as I say, it was a spiritual experiment more than it was a paranormal investigation. It was a completely different environment. So, but as I say, it was interesting to see it, and I couldn't explain it because I don't know enough. And that's all I could say. That's all I could say in that environment. Now, Carl Hutchinson, which I believe has interviewed you before on PSH Radio.
Yes. Carl was actually the one that had the Paranormal Puck the other week.
Yeah, he's been looking at Paranormal Puck as well, hasn't he?
He's got one,
Yeah, he said, is there any location that you would want to go back to an investigation?
Yes, Delacroix Abbey, again in Northampton. Carl was actually with me for this particular night. We were doing, obviously Delacroix Abbey is quite derelict, I suppose, but they've recently been doing it up and spent millions of pounds. But before, we actually managed to get in there, and we did a public event there, but there was only about 6 of us, because it was like we had it for 2 nights, so we had like a mini night and then the main night. Well, he was on the mini night with us, and we were all upstairs in one of the empty rooms, and we were just asking questions. I think Spirit Box was going, and he suddenly got really, really angry, and he had to leave the room. Now, Carl is a lovely man, and he never, ever gets angry. But he was fuming. He told me he wanted to punch people, wanted to hit and swear at people, so we left the room. And what happened to me after that night as well, I believe I took something home with me from that location, and it was with me for 3 months.
Wow.
I was depressed, hated everybody, didn't want to do anything, didn't want to go to work. I had such bad luck. I nearly chopped my entire thumb off in an accident. I had personal issues as well. And then suddenly, 3 months later, it just disappeared. And like my luck had changed. I didn't do anything to make this happen. It just disappeared, and like my life went back to normal. But I hadn't, after this time, I think this was like in February time, 3 months after the December event. And I spoke to Carl, I think later on near Halloween that year. So it'd been a while since I'd seen him. And he said to me that he took something home with him as well. And to this day, he says that he still has a piece of that with him. So I would actually like to go back with Carl just to see what is there. And, you know, try and communicate and find out why it did possibly what it did to us. Yeah.
So when you work, you don't take any spiritual, do you take a spiritual person with you, like a medium or somebody who's sensitive, or are you sensitive yourself?
We have our friend Rob, who when UK Haunted do public events, he's like our spiritual consultant. He's like a psychic, things like that. And he does all that sort of stuff, like does protection for the group and things like that. But I'm not, I suppose, I do feel a lot. I don't see things like a medium would, and I don't speak to spirit in my mind. But I do feel a lot of pain and sickness in certain locations, and I do actually see a lot of spirit as well. But it's only for like a second. I walk around the corner and it's there and it's gone. Or it'll come behind somebody and it's there and it's gone. But it's not like a medium where they get the images in their head and they can see colours and full description. Mine's like half a second, and if I remember it, then I remember it. So, yeah, I don't know what you would call that, but I'm definitely not a medium.
So when you had that experience of an attachment, did you not explore that from a spiritual perspective to see if you could clear it sooner, or did you just not recognise that that's what had occurred?
No, I did. I did think that something was with me and something was trying to affect me all the time. But to be honest, I didn't really care. I was in that sort of place and like, whatever, do what you want sort of thing. Because I was in that frame of mind. It's like, I don't care anymore. Just do it.
Oh,
I was still talking to people normally. I was still going to work, still seeing friends and family. But, you know, like maybe I was working at like 20%, 30% of my positivity, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Because you're usually quite very, very positive person, aren't you?
Yeah. And it's just like, I can't be bothered. To be honest, don't really care what happens. Do what you want. And I was like that for like 3 months.
Did you do any research into who that could have been?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Was that just generally because of the apathy after that, because of the feelings that you had afterwards? Was that what made you not be bothered to do that kind of work?
I think so. Yeah, I would, like I said, I would like to go back now and actually hit it full on and do research. Myself and Alex did when the house Delacroix Abbey was being renovated. We used to go to the grounds and the woods that are on the site and do just like spirit box sessions and things like that. And one night it was really, really quiet, and then suddenly we heard on the spirit box, Alfred. And it was like, whoa, it was next to us. It was really clear, like quite aggressive. But that's the only word we had all night. So obviously we went home and did some research, and we found out that a man called Alfred Rouse was convicted in Northampton, I think back in 1920s or 30s or something like that. I can't really remember the date. But what it was, he just around the corner from Delacroix Abbey, he found a homeless man and took him in a car and basically bashed him in with a hammer and left him for dead, and then set fire to the car with this homeless man in it. And to this day, they still don't know who the homeless man was. They couldn't find out who he was through the teeth, like dental records, fingerprints, because he was that badly damaged through the attack and also the fire. But the funny thing is, if you research this man and Google him, this Alfred Rouse, or whatever his name is, who actually was convicted of this person's murder, he looks like Alex.
Oh, wow. Poor Alex.
Yeah, and obviously he was with me. So whether he's like saying, oh, Alfred, like looking at himself, or we had the spirit of this nameless man, I think he's called now, as if to say, oh my God, it's Alfred, sort of thing. So we went back to try and get answers for that, but we didn't really get anything the second time. But it's definitely a great site for activity. I mean, they had War of the Roses there, so on the site. So, yeah.
Well, Carla said in the chat room, the spirit box responses were very dark, and the same word came out 5 times. And yes, he does feel that something was attached to both himself and Miki, and he does honestly feel that something is still hanging around him. And Dave has said he had this at the Masonic Hall in Liverpool in the Egyptian room. They had encountered a spirit of a nasty man, and he had to leave the room after 15 minutes as he wanted to hit something and was very angry. Not a nice situation to be in. He returned in May and got the same feeling again. And another member of the team got the same feeling and left the room. So these things do. This is like one of the, should we call it a danger of the field that people don't always acknowledge before they go out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because obviously people always ask us, "Oh, do you have like protection when you go out? Like, do you say a prayer or whatever mediums doing that for protection?" But we don't, to be honest. And maybe that's a reason why maybe we get affected. I'm not sure, but I think like people all talk about demons, like oh, demon there and it's evil, and I don't think you get possessed by a demon or whatever, a negative entity, unless you are weak-minded. To be honest, because I think, when you hear stories, people go in and they all getting possessed all the time. It's like, really? Like all these years, I've been doing it over 10 years now, and the only one negative entity I've encountered was at Delacroix Abbey, but I didn't say it was a demon. I don't think it was a demon. I think you have to go to some really, really bad places to find demons, as it were, in this world. But I don't think you're going to get a demon at the local museum.
This leads me on to quite nicely something that you have around. You're a family man, aren't you, Miki?
Yes. Yeah.
Very, very much so, family man, and you involve the family in everything you do.
Yeah.
And you have some haunted... You're going, where's she going with this, aren't you?
I'm thinking you were going to say, is it right for my children to investigate? But obviously
No. Well, that
Okay.
is a question that's coming up soon on the Paranormal Concept Show. We are going to talk about that very, very soon as a topic. Because if they're interested and it's what you do, then as long as you do it, and in an educational way... how can you not involve them? I mean, some of the work I do in my own home, I can't turn around to my 11-year-old and 13-year-old and go, it's none of your business. Because, trust me, some of the things I have in my home, they go, what is that? So I'd rather educate them than anything else. Exactly, than build up their own stories, quite frankly. Because when I go down to the playground, I don't really want to be known as the weird mother, which I kind of am. But anyway, you have haunted dolls, don't you? You have 9.
Yes, I do, yeah.
So living with your family and these haunted dolls, how does that work?
Well, my wife won't let me keep them in the house. They need to live in the shed.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yes. And they've all got like cases and that. But I would say out of the 9, we'll put it this way. I have 9 haunted dolls in brackets. I would say 3 of them are definitely haunted. The rest need more work. So, but yeah, there is a chance. But that's why I slowly get through and work with them. Just to build up a rapport with them and see if they want to talk, really.
Okay. What do the kids make of that?
They just think Daddy's cool.
Well, that's never a bad thing when they think Daddy's cool. Because you do some live feeds, don't you, with them?
Yeah, I have done quite recently, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's good to get people's responses, and then obviously they can get involved at that time as well, as I'm doing it, rather than just doing a video and then people watching it like a month later or whatever. I think it's good to do some lives now and again, so they can get involved.
Yeah, it's that interaction, isn't it? It's having that interaction with people. It's quite nice to get that. I quite enjoy that too. That's why we like to do live radio, because we like that interaction with people who are listening as well as the guest that we've got on at the time. It's definitely a different dynamic, isn't it, to when you do live to not. So is there any of them that you would not involve in the family?
No. Actually, what, my dolls, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not the live feeds, the dolls.
Yeah.
That's a different channel.
Yeah, that's for later. No, I don't think. I think I would. Well, my most haunted one is Janet. She was from Texas. She's like 120 years old, that we know of anyway. And she has no eyes, but she has teeth. And she's made of leather. And I was contacted by a lady called Julie a couple of years ago, basically saying she's got this doll in her attic. It was her grandmother's, and she gave it to her, and her kids and family hate it, and they lock it in the attic, and they never get it out. But when it does come out, like when they go in the loft and that, the whole house has a horrible atmosphere, and everybody is not happy. And did I want it? I'm like, yeah, I do. I'll have it. And she didn't want no money for it. And she even paid the like $60, $70 postage. She wouldn't take any money from me just to get rid of it.
Wow.
I was like, wow, okay. And as soon as I got Janet, I did some spirit box. I didn't know her name at this point. I did the spirit box session and just you know, the usual stuff like EVP and stuff, just to see if anything would come through. I can sort of like, hello, my name's Miki. Can you tell me your name? And that's when it told me Janet. So that is why I call her Janet, because she told me her name was Janet. And ever since then, like from the first video, people saying, "Oh, she makes me feel sick. I hate watching Janet. It's there's no eyes, but I can see eyes," and it's just. But yeah, my kids, they're not really that bothered by them. They're quite.
They're quite
intrigued.
chilled, actually. They're quite chilled about it all, aren't they?
Yeah, because I filmed a video of my daughter of all 9, and then I recently did one with my 2 boys last week, which hasn't come out yet, but because they wanted to have a go with all 9 dolls as well. Yeah, so I haven't actually been through that footage yet, so I have no idea what we captured, to be honest. But it will be out at some point.
But from the clip, because you did a vlog, you did a Miki vlog, didn't you?
Yeah.
And there's a little snippet in there, guys, of the boys with the dolls. Just a little snippet. They seemed quite chilled about it all. They were like, yeah, you know, we're just sitting here with the 9 haunted dolls. And, you know, Daddy's filming, and, you know, it's all normal in the household of Mickey Yorks.
Yeah. It definitely seems that way anyway.
So far, so good, I say.
Yeah, definitely.
So you said your wife doesn't like them in the house.
No.
Is that a belief system, do you think?
No, I just think she doesn't want it in the house. Because when we moved into this house, we've been in there 7 years nearly now. I'd say the first couple of months, we didn't know nothing about the house, the history. And my daughter's covers were being pulled off her at night. Her curtains were being opened. And my eldest son, saw a dark figure in the corner of his bedroom quite often. So going back to my original Northampton Spirit Seekers team, one of the members of that, her name was Penny. She was a witch stroke medium. And she come out and basically blessed my house with crystals and spells and did stuff in the garden to bury it and all that sort of stuff. And she put protective crystals in all the bedrooms upstairs. And it basically went away quite quickly. They weren't seeing things anymore. But the crystal for the bathroom now has been gone for a couple of years. And we quite often hear people running up and down the stairs. Quite often, like if my wife's at work and my kids are upstairs asleep, I'm downstairs watching telly, I'll hear like footsteps up and down the stairs. And I go up there, I think, he's awake. And I go in the bedrooms and they're in the bed. And it's like, wow. It was only like a couple of seconds and I was up there. And also, with my eldest son and my daughter have heard their names called when they've been in the bathroom, like from the hallway outside the door. I've also heard a female called Daddy a couple of times when I was in the bathroom, and I opened the door, thinking it's my daughter, and she's in bed, or she's not even upstairs. And it's like, wow. But a couple of occasions, I've had the bath tap, the hot tap turned on fully a couple of times when we've all been downstairs in the living room or the kitchen, and you go near the stairs and you can, what's that noise? And like, it's the bath tap. And it's like 5 or 6 turns to turn it off. Now, that is not caused by pressure, I don't believe, anyway. And it's happened like 3 times now in the last year and a half. So it's always that bathroom. And I think because that crystal's gone, wherever it is, I don't know. But plus, spirits are supposed to use water as a conductor as well. But yeah, my kids are just used to it now. They're like, oh, yeah.
So you could train them to be paranormal investigators and go, off you go, investigate.
Yeah, I'm starting them young.
Yeah, that's it.
Your own little team.
Yeah, why not?
Have they asked to go out on investigations with you?
I've taken them to abandoned buildings and had the spirit box with me and that in the daytime.
Yeah.
And also some of these locations that are haunted, and we've been to them as UK Haunted before. Done investigations there, so they don't mind going there in the daytime. I think nighttime may be a bit different, but yeah,
they are still a little young, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 14, 13, and 11. So, but they're pretty clued up, I would say, on this sort of subject. So if they've got a question, they'll ask me. So
Yeah, I think that's key. I think that's quite key to it all, really, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
they ask a question, you answer it honestly
Yeah.
within what you know about it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, of all the places you've been to, what's the worst one you've been to?
What the worst letdowns is just, I suppose East Drive. I suppose because obviously that's built up to like, wow, you're going to get attacked and all this stuff.
Mm.
And it was just audio. I get audio quite a lot of places I go to, and you go all that way and a massive special location, and it's like, oh, is that it? And it was just us two there. We had like 20 cameras in every room throughout the house, digital recorders in every room, so there's no way any spirits could escape. And like I said, we only got a couple of voices and audios. So, but yeah, I suppose that I would go with that one as the letdown, I would say.
Have you only done that place once?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We tried to go back another time, but there was an issue there, so we didn't go there in the end. Yeah.
Okay.
So where haven't you been that you would love to go? Start with the UK. Let's start with the UK first.
I would like to go. I've been at Edinburgh Vaults last year on holiday. Contacted them, wanted to go there. They said, yeah, tried to book a date. Never replied to me again because we wanted to book just the vaults out because it was creepy as hell down there. And it was like, wow. So I definitely want to go there. Want to do Bodmin Jail. I've been there again on holiday in the daytime. I had a look round, but never at night time. Same with Hellfire. I've been there so many times in the day, but booking it's quite expensive at night.
Yeah,
but we will get there one day. But yeah, but then again, you don't even have to go there late at night because it's underground. So
yeah, I went during the day and I thought it was a great place. Loved it.
Yeah, if you get there when it's quiet, you hardly get a like 10-minute burst where there's no one there. You can do some investigating.
yeah, like secret investigating, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed the Hellfire Caves, I have to say, as a tourist.
Yeah.
It was quite busy the day I went, so there was no investigating to be done, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame.
I know, it was a shame, but I still enjoyed the location.
Oh, yes, definitely very strange, and the history is very dark, and it needs. I personally would like to investigate it properly, but one day.
Yes, one day, Loads of. So, okay, globally, where globally would you like to get to?
I would like to do Eastern State Penitentiary in America because that looks so cool. Just a whole prison packed out with cameras and microphones and just doing experiments, just me and Alex or whatever.
Gosh, that's huge.
Yeah, I know.
You'd need so much kit.
I know. That's to win the lottery, I think.
And you'd take all months just to set it all up.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah. I'd also like to do Letchworth Village. That's in New York, just on the outskirts of New York. That's a horrible, children's hospital, I think it was. Yeah. And the pain and suffering that they went through there was just horrific. And it's just sort of like nature's overgrowing it now. It's taken over. But it's supposed to be quite very active, but very dark as well. So, but then again, I think a lot of American locations, they're portrayed as being dark and always full of demons and it's like, that can't be really, surely.
Yeah, I think most people claim that there's demons all over America.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be, we've got to go there because it's got demons. It's like, you're probably not even going to contact them.
Yeah,
to be fair.
No, exactly.
Sorry.
Go on.
Dave has actually said in the chat room, he said it's bought by American paranormal teams that anything nasty in the spirit world is a demon. So, and unfortunately, because of the American TV that comes out, which is changing slightly as they go through. At one point, everything was a demon. I mean, it's a famous. There's a fly. Oh, it must be a demon. Kind of scenario with the Ghost Adventures scenario. But I think things are changing in America now. I think they're coming away. I'd like to think they were coming away anyway from calling everything nasty the D word.
Yeah. Well, I think. Sorry,
I-
paranormal. Go
go
on,
on.
you go.
Okay.
Paranormal lockdown. I think with Nick, that's quite an interesting concept where they just spend 3 days there, if they do anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do. I think that's quite laid back and chilled, and I quite like that style of investigating. Like they're not rushing it. They've got all the time. They're just walking around. They're talking. That's normally when activity happens, when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
So I can understand where they're coming from when they claim that everything is demonic, because if you look at the history, in particular with the American history, you go back as far as, like, say for example, the American Civil War, or the War of Independence, when they were fighting the British. The British were very sick and twisted when it comes to torturing people.
Yeah.
So when obviously they're past, their spirit is very angry and bitter and twisted. So that's where I think that's where, you know, they get a lot of spirits that are particularly the same way. You know,
Angry, yeah.
yeah, very
upset?
angry.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're angry, bitter, and twisted against the living, because they were not literally, you know, they're not just shot, are they? You know, they've been tortured and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where the anger comes from, and I think that's why a lot of people think that it's demonic when it's just someone that's very annoyed.
Well, yeah, I think they changed the negative spirit and they change it into a demon because it sounds better, but it's just basically an angry, annoyed, negative spirit who's had a bad life most of the time, and it's still that way in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've experienced. We've had a location that we went to quite recently, and in the basement level there was a spirit, and it was described, although it was a human spirit, it was described as an evil entity, because it was so sick and angry and, you know, on the negative side, that it almost forgot its humanity.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, a lot of people just didn't want to go down into the basement for that reason. They were bordering on the demonic, but they were.
Yeah.
It's not that, you know, they didn't want to go that far in describing it. It was human, but it's forgot its humanity.
Yeah, the human side was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that again could give rise to some of the demonic descriptions these days.
Yeah, so I definitely think demons exist, but I don't think they're as common as it's portrayed anyway.
Indeed.
No.
Generally have to summon, but there you go. That's a different topic for a different day.
Yeah.
Yeah, who hasn't stood in front of the mirror and Bloody Mary or whatever it was?
She's not a demon anyway. She's just a poor, unfortunate woman. Anyway, different topic, different night.
Just did something.
Yeah. I did that at school.
I think we all did that at school. I think we all tried to do a ad hoc Ouija as well at school, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing happened.
I remember making my own Ouija board when I first started doing them, and we'd just put the letters on a bit of paper and put it around the edge of the board, and as the glass would spin, it kept knocking the letters off.
Oh, no.
We're like, right, okay, we'll get you back. We sellotaped them on now.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I think sadly we have actually come to the end of the show.
Oh.
I know, the hours just go so quick. I'm definitely going to have a word with the boss to see if I can extend my shows.
Put in a good word.
So Kerry, what have we got coming up for the rest of the week?
Okay, so tomorrow night we kick off at 8 p.m. on the Supernatural Chat Show with Sean Cadman. He's got the lovely Hazel Ford in the studio with him. Then that follows by 9 p.m. with the Haunted History Show, talking I can never say this, Margam Castle?
It's
Is that right? Margam.
Wales.
Yeah, there. That's what she's talking about.
It's
It's a beautiful building, isn't it? Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they had a TARDIS outside.
They had a what?
Yeah.
They had a TARDIS outside when I went.
Oh, cool. I don't think that's there permanently, though. I think that was just probably just saving the world kind of moment. She's talking to Paranormal Phenomena Wales on that one. On a Thursday evening on the Spectral Zone, we've got Gary Bradfield from East Anglian Paranormal Investigations in the studio. Friday night, we are talking energy and psychic vampires, so we shall see what we make of that one. And on Sunday evening on the Spirit Dimension, we have got Dr. David Saunders in the studio talking about nightmares and the role of lucidity within the dream realms. That should be fascinating. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Do love a doctor.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone that's been in the chat room and everyone that's asked questions. Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant.
I want to just do a quick shout out. I've mentioned Carl Hutchinson, Henry McGill, Kaz Rooney has been in there, Dave Harasny has been there, and Kelly Peppers. Sorry if I've said your surname wrong, I'm sorry. But she says, "Hi Mickey, great show."
Hello. Thank you.
Right there. How's that?
Brilliant.
I'd like to thank you, Mickey, as well, for joining us tonight. Absolute pleasure.
It's not a problem. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
No problem, and hopefully we can have you on again at some point.
Yeah, I'd love that. Cool.
Yeah, fantastic. And thank you, Kerry, for joining me as co-host, as always.
Always welcome. Do love my Tuesdays.
Absolutely. So, yes, thank you. So it's good night from me.
And it's good night from me.
And good night, Mickey.
Good night. Have a good one.